Thanks for being here, Glenn.
Good morning. Thanks, brother. How y'all doing? So this is where I really feel at home. So before I became on the department, guess what I was? Nope, a neighbor. Living on the block. And I'm going to tell this one story because you asked this question. What was your greatest moment as a, organizing? So this is how it all started. I was dating this girl. And she wouldn't come to my house because at the time she just took the train back and forth, right? And we lived up north on a train station, but all the guys would hang out in front of the train station. And she was coming from downtown, and she didn't want to come up there and get off that train where those guys were hanging out. And I wasn't moving. I had a great apartment on the beach in Rogers Park. I thought I was doing something. And she's like, yeah, this might not work out. And I was like, well, we might have to work on this. So I saw a neighbor. I said, hey, what can we do? And they said, this thing about caps and blah, blah. I'm like, I can care less about this. How are we going to get these guys off this corner? I'm trying to keep a girlfriend. All right. So I got involved, and like many of you, went to a meeting, sat in one of those steel folding chairs, and we started talking about what we were going to do. And it was simple. Well, we're going to go out there just like everybody else, and we're going to have some positive loitering. All right? So we tried the positive loitering, and it didn't work. Because, I was thinking we go out there one Friday, we'd be done with this. So let me tell you about this work. It's going to take a commitment. All right? When I say a commitment, this is now part of your life. Now, don't get scared and try to find the back door. The part of the life it's that you're investing in your community. Tony, you said something interesting. When your neighbor walked up to you and said, this ain't Oak Park. We mean, this is my home. This is my house. This is where I got to live. Don't worry about Oak Park, worry about our house. That's what you're doing. Your house does not end at the four walls and the door. Your house is that space right outside, next door, that block. That's all your house. You don't have to pay for everything in their house, but you are protecting your house. So we go ahead and we start standing on this corner. We stood on that corner for, I think, 6-8 months, including the winter. Now, let me just fast forward. This is what I got out of this whole effort. I now have a 15-year-old son with her, tuition, and a lot of attitude. And I would never trade it. But it only happens only reason this really happened, let's be honest, because I had to go to a meeting to keep the girl so the guys would get off the corner. That's it. There was no complicated long-term goal and et cetera. That was my focus, to make a better life for my house. That's all we're all trying to do, is to make a better life. Now, I got lucky. Somehow they hired me. So now I have a job. But I promise you this part, I don't care about meeting with the mayor. I don't care about all the stuff we do at the police department and all this. Right here is the most important thing, what you're doing on your Saturday morning. Here's where the difference is made. We like to talk about these grand plans, and I promise you, I have a PowerPoint. Actually, I have about 2,000 PowerPoints in my office. I sit in average 10,000 meetings a month. And we talk about all these grand plans. None of that matters. They're all trying to be sophisticated, intellectual, and academic about you right here today. This is the difference that makes the community better. I can tell you about every police mission. I can tell you about our strategy. I can tell you about our technology. The biggest change, I'm going to tell you one quick thing, and then I got to go because, they're going to fight me over here. 79th and Cottage. Anybody ever been down there? All right. It's a place called Happy Liquors. All right. I promise you, no less than 8 lawyers, about 12 police officers, 2 aldermen worked on this problem every single day. We would have these phone calls about it and et cetera. You know what changed it? What actually got the store closed? You. I'm going to tell you how it happened. So we've been going to court. Anybody who's ever been to building court or anything else like that, let me tell you what it is. It's a rinse and repeat. You go to court, there's a continuance. You go to court, there's another continuance, and this goes on for years. Years. Then we had this church say, you know what, we're going to go with you, but we're going to all come. They brought 5 buses of people. Okay? The sheriff called me up. He was all upset, talking about, you can't bring this many people to court. I'm like, what do you want me to tell you? There's the pastor. They came into court. When I say rinse and repeat, we came in. The judge goes, all right, why are y'all in the court? Happy Liquors. He says, all right. So they start court proceeding, and usually what happens, the lawyer goes up there and says, is your client here? No, he's not here. Can I get a continuance? He says, yes, you can have a continuance to 4 o'clock today. Because if all these people come here, your client needs to be here. 4 o'clock came along, client didn't show up. He says, he just couldn't make it. He's like, no problem. We're going to sign this order right now that closes your business effective 5 o'clock. Now, if you want to get here before 5, come on through. But if not, 5 o'clock, we can close it. I have never gotten an order out of a court in my life. 5 o'clock, we closed that store. And I said, it was not the police. It was not the city. It was y'all. Now, I can't promise you that's going to happen with everything. But I can promise you, you will make a difference. Your community will be better. The city will be better, and you and your family will be safer. So please, whatever we can do to support it. I wish I could stay, but these protests, I got to go do with a quick protest today. But this, I promise you, is more important than that protest, because you will make a difference on your block, and your block. And that is the difference. So thank y'all. I encourage you. We'll be here. We have support for you, whatever you need. You got Officer Brown here. Every single one of those districts would help you. I have I have 2 community organizers here today. So we got people from the community policing office. So please make sure you raise your hand. Matter of fact, y'all stand up. Everybody from the Chicago Police Department, stand up. Come on, Johnny, stand up. Oh, Jenny, we got 3. All right. All right. Listen, you can call them anytime. I'll make sure they give you your phone number. Call them anytime, and they'll support you. Thank y'all. All right, have a good day.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, David. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Manny, Greg, if you can come on up next. But we appreciate you, Glenn. Thanks for being with us, and appreciate your organizers being here with us today as well. I'm excited to hand the mic next to Manuel Whitfield and Greg Martinez. You might remember them from last year. They joined us from the Community Safety Coordination Center. So we are running a little bit behind. We're going to keep it tight, and I'm inviting them back to April and May to tell us even more. So Manny, I'm going to hand the mic to you first.
I hope y'all don't mind me taking a seat. Like it to be a little bit more informal and comfortable and relaxed. First of all, thank you all for letting me be here. I'm actually going to be speaking on behalf of Deputy Mayor Gary Gatewood. He oversees the Mayor's Office of Community Safety. Unfortunately, he could not make it today. He had last minute had to go to another meeting with the mayor. So I'm going to be here just talking a little bit about the People's Plan for Community Safety. For those of you who are familiar with it, that plan launched last December. December the 14th to be exact, at Kennedy King College. It was a very, very big announcement. And the reason why it was a big announcement, because the Mayor's Office of Community Safety was formerly called the Mayor's Office of Public Safety. And I think it's very telling that we're sitting in this room and that every single speaker that has come up before us has talked about community and the importance of community. Public safety has historically become a buzzword. When we think about public safety, the first thing we think about is policing, and that's it. When the reality of it is that it's a lot more intricate than just policing. Violence is an interdisciplinary topic. It covers a variety of things. So if we want to start looking at violence and how to keep our community safer, we have to begin to change what wording looks like, because language is everything. So public safety changed to community safety because it allows us to think about safety from a community standpoint. That's the first thing. The second thing is when we launched this plan, the whole purpose of this plan was to be really influential off of what community has done. Many communities have quality of life plans. Austin has a quality of life plan. And the reason why communities have a quality of life plan is because, unfortunately, historically, the city has not done its role and its part in supporting communities with getting what they need. So a lot of communities have historically been disenfranchised and disinvested in. So community members have come together and put together the plan that they need to tailor to their community to get their resources and services. And honestly, you all have done a very, very phenomenal job of doing that. The only issue with it is that the city does need to do its part, and it does need to come to the table. It needs to plug into the work that you all have set for decades and decades and crafted and come together. And we need to make sure that we do it in an intentional way. And a part of doing that is through this rebranding process internally first, making sure that all city departments and agencies understand the purpose behind why the full force of government has to be at the table. So the community safety plan, think about that as the People's Plan for Community Safety, as a quality of life plan for the entire city of Chicago that has a variety of elements that come from communities like yourself. It's composed of 7 pillars. Some of those pillars are policing, CVI, community violence intervention, housing, education, community environment, education, victims and survivors. And then that plan is also then broken down into a people-based strategy and a place-based strategy. So the pillars that I just named is the place-based component of it, and then the people-based component of it is, again, I'm going to do some language changing here. Instead of saying at risk, we're saying adults of highest promise, youth of highest promise, and then victims and survivors. And the reason why we're changing at risk to highest promise is because when you say at risk, that automatically associates with something being a liability. When the reality of it is that we want to think about the individuals in these communities as assets. So you have to say highest promise, because it then shifts all of our thinking to then start to say the individuals that we are serving, these are individuals of highest opportunity. If we provide them with the resources and tools, they're going to take advantage of that. If we show them that love and care, if we take a holistic approach, we're going to be able to provide more opportunities for them to thrive and actually sustain themselves. But we also have to make sure that the individuals that we're referring to as high at risk also don't look at themselves as liabilities. And many times, a lot of individuals and communities don't see a lot of value in themselves because they feel like they're products of their environment. So by us shifting our language, we're going to encourage them to shift their language so they can start looking at themselves as also individuals of highest opportunity or highest promise. So the People's Plan really aims to plug into the quality of life plans that you all have effortlessly created, but also to make sure that we are making sure that agencies and departments are cross-collaborating together to service you all better and show up more sustainably and consistently. The end goal is to make sure that you all have autonomy. You all should never have to rely on one particular individual or administration to help drive the work. There should be systems and processes in place that you all that work, that you all understand that you can leverage and utilize no matter what the change in administration is. And that shouldn't mean that it's going to be a reset every single time. So we're working to make sure that those systems and processes are in place to ensure that your voices are heard and that I know some of you probably hear co-governance a lot. Co-governance is really co-creation, making sure that we're working hand in hand with you all to achieve what you want to see your communities look like. But more importantly, we want to move a step further from co-governance and go into community-led. When things are community-led, things are a lot better. So I'll leave you there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thanks, Manny. So hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Greg Martinez. I have the privilege of overseeing the Community Safety Coordination Center. So, Glen was talking about big, bold plans, and yes, sometimes they seem a little bit abstract when we talk about the broader strategies of the city, and Manny did a great job of going through that. But, you're all sitting here today thinking, well, how can tangibly, the city of Chicago could help us in these community safety efforts? And hopefully, just in my short time here, I'll be able to at least provide a little bit of a primer of what we can do and how we can help support the work that's happening here. And, kudos to Nate Tubbs and Together Chicago and all the great collaboration that they're putting together. I'm also just really inspired by just like how many people are here today on a Saturday morning to really talk through and collaborate on this really important issue. So the Community Safety Coordination Center was started in 2021 as a response to the major uptick in violence. And what we're really trying to do is to coordinate all of the different government resources, overlaying them in the things that you all do here. One of the main things that we can do for you all is provide community safety planning tables. So what we do is bring together a bunch of different stakeholders like we see here today, and we help them with a few different things. So one of the things we can do is identify hotspots, like, all right, what's happening here in this community, and then how can we tailor our response based on these community needs? People have said it time and time again, what happens in Austin might be different from what happens in Little Village, and that's why being community-led is super, super important. We're not coming here and saying, hey, this is the solution. We're coming here and saying, hey, tell us what the problem is, and we can collaboratively then identify a solution, again, tailored to the unique needs of these communities. Gang graffiti is an issue in Little Village and more of our Hispanic communities. Gang graffiti drives gang violence and community violence, right? It's not necessarily something that Austin is really impacted by. So again, it's very important for us to be community-led and not just as government coming down here and saying this is the solution. So that's one of the things that we can do is we can train folks here to do those weekly community safety planning tables. And what the great thing about that is, one is there's a playbook. We can just give you the playbook and say, these are the people you should have at the table. This is how you coordinate. Here's an agenda, so on and so forth. But I think what the value add from the CSCC and myself and Manny in the mayor's office is, you can then leverage us to be that conduit to those community resources. So oftentimes, especially in our south and west sides of the city, just folks don't know about what's available. And also, historically, why would you trust government? There has been a lot of distrust, and for a lot of good reasons. And so what you can do, again, utilizing us, is now you have a direct connection to, let's say, hey, there's a vacant lot in my neighborhood that folks are hanging out in, and it's causing some issues in the community. We can quickly reach out to our partners and friends over at Department of Streets and Sanitation, Department of Transportation, to quickly fix those issues. I will just give one example. Like I said, in Little Village and other parts of the city, gang graffiti requests often took 1, 2, 3 weeks to get addressed. Now just coordinating with our colleagues at the Department of Streets and Sanitation, that gets quickly addressed. I'm not overstating anything here. Sometimes the same day, but no more than 24 hours. We have heard from community that has never been the case. And again, I'm just using that as a really small example of coordination, but how impactful it can be. Because again, that gang graffiti can be can drive violence or be a predictor of violence. So I'll wrap it up here shortly, but again, I just want to say that you all have a partner in government. When we talk about co-governance, this is how it happens. We have been doing this work for almost 2 years now. I mean, it's a short amount of time, but we have seen a ton of promise. We focus most of our efforts in the 15 communities most impacted by violence here in Chicago. No surprise to the people in this room, those are on the south and west sides, right? So again, if you want to connect with the Community Safety Coordination Center and any of the things that I talked about, you could reach out to Nate, and we could provide, like I said, a training on all the things that we do. And it's, again, I really want to underscore the community safety planning tables, because that's really, and again, it really underscores what Glenn was talking about, that it takes everybody. Yes, the police are an important part of that equation. I also don't want to undersell them. They're amazing partners, but really it takes all of us, everybody in the room, to really get that impact, to get those guys off of that corner, as Glenn, very articulately told that story about his now wife, right? But again, when we all collaborate and work together, that's where we really get to see some results. The work isn't done, but like I said, we have seen some promise and some early results that in our 15 communities that we're focusing our efforts on, those key violence indicators like shooting incidences and homicides are going down in most of those. I've been doing violence prevention work for 14, 15 years now, so I'm never going to say mission accomplished or even show any kind of hey, we're mission accomplished. It is something that we will have to address in our city day in and day out for the rest of our lives, unfortunately, right? And so again, I don't want to say oh, we found the problem, but again, we've shown some early results, and we want to continue on that work. So just want to thank again Nate and the entire team for bringing us together here. But I guess what the last thing I'll say is, these are words, and I didn't always work for the government, right? I was most of my career was really spent on the community side doing violence prevention work, and so I was sitting in the room and in your seat thinking man, is this person even really being honest? Are they really going to help? So again, these are just words now, but ultimately the way that we can show trust, increase trust, and cultivate these relationships is by the actions that we perform. That's really, really key. So again, if you all want to work with us, connect with Nate, but we will show you how we can help support that. And again, that's just how we will build trust. It is not given, right? It is earned. So thank you so much. We appreciate the short amount of time. This is a little bit of a last minute. Not for us, but we just took us a while to get back to Nate. So next time, in the next coming Building Blocks events, we'll have a little bit more of a substantive, resources. But again, if there's any initial, any connections you all want to make, we can work through that with Nate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate you.